Max Preps is a proud sponsor and official photographer of the CIF. View and purchase high-quality action photos from today's event by visiting rexpreps.com on your mobile device, where you can also access scores, rosters, schedules, leaderboards, and more. MaxPreps.com, America's source for high school sports.
TVX Video presents the High School State California State Championships Division 3A from La Jolla High School in San Diego, California. Thanks so much for joining us as the Bishop School takes on Oakdale High School. The winner will punch their ticket as state champions. Hello everyone, along with Kamala Saf, I'm Mark Heller. Thanks so much for joining us on a glorious late December here in Southern California. Game time temperatures about 50 degrees, no wind to speak of. And let's talk about these two teams. First for the Bishop School. They are seeking perfection at 14-0. The third time in school history that they have done it, but they've never gone 15-0. Come on.
Well, it's a unique opportunity. It's a very dynamic team with a lot of big playmakers, so it should be a good game.
And it will be the Mustangs kicking off. It will be the Knights to receive. And this game getting underway momentarily. Thanks so much for joining us here from La Jolla High School. The ball is kicked up. It's a short kick taken on the up end, 25-30, 35, and knocked out of bounds at about the 40-yard line, where they'll operate first and 10. The Bishop School starting lineup: Mooney at wide receiver, Moses in the backfield. Your quarterback, Jeffrey Jackson, will be talking about him. Jacob Jackson, wide receiver, his brother. Kicker is Masad. And then we've got an offensive line that includes Eldridge and Kramer. And we'll tell you the rest in just a moment. The spread offense that you'll see from Bishops, and this team can move the football with reckless abandon up ahead to the 40. Some of these numbers are video-like numbers. 5,935 yards of total offense. And then when you add in the kick returns, the punt returns, 7,186 yards on the year. They average 281.9 yards per game passing, and not too bad rushing at 142.1. Jackson under trouble. He's going to get tackled back at the 33-yard line. A loss of 7 on the play as the tackle is made by Josh Jacobson. The starting defense for Oakdale. Here is how they look. The linebackers are Campbell, Crick, Thomas, and Jacobson, who just made the tackle. Cornerback Ty Fuentes, defensive end Cullen Burden, Harmon is a safety, Toledo is a cornerback, defensive end Michael Everett. Going to the air, running room, 45, 50, 45 at the sideline, 40, 35, 30, and he's picked up down at the 20-yard line. That's what this offense can do. You think nothing's happening, and then boom, huge play. So that was Jacob Jackson on the reception there. And let's just talk about some of these numbers. We spoke about Jeffrey Jackson. He's thrown for 3,863 yards on the year, 46 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions.
It's a remarkably efficient offense. For a team that throws so much to only have 4 interceptions is remarkable. He's got playmakers everywhere. Receivers, tight end. They're dynamic.
Rolling left, aims, fires, and the ball is caught at the 21-yard line. That's a pickup of about 4 yards on the play, and Woodley with the reception. There was some questions whether or not Woodley was going to play tonight. Has that right quadricep injury, but this young man who does a great job at linebacker and wide receiver, there's no way he's missing this one.
He's so important to their team. He's such a physical, smart player.
At a shotgun formation, 2 receivers right, 1 left, 1 man backfield. coach. It looks like he's changing the call at the line of scrimmage. Head coach Allen says he's my offensive coordinator, not my quarterback. He's under pressure, rolling right, trying to keep the play alive, and he's going to get sacked back at the 34-yard line. Boy, that Oakdale pressure, it comes fast, and Jackson's going to have to make some quick decisions tonight.
You know, there was great coverage on the play, 4 receivers out. They did a great job of making him make a second decision. He didn't get outside the pocket.
9:45 to go here in quarter number 1. No score, just underway. Bishop is in their gray with gold numbers, and Oakdale in their white and black with red and yellow stripes. Out of shotgun, Jackson aims, fires, he completes down to the 27-yard line, with the catch being made by Jacob Jackson. I mean, needless to say, are they twin brothers?
They're not twin brothers, but they're very close, and they've got great chemistry together. You know, they really understand each other, and he's kind of his third down specialist.
Well, Jacob entered the game 66 receptions, 1,201 yards, an 18.2 average, and 13 touchdowns, and he gives you 100 yards receptions per game. That's just uncanny.
It's really remarkable.
And we have a timeout call with 8:58 to go here in quarter number 1. So, talk about your background, because you've been here at the school for a long time.
Yeah, I actually am an alumnus. I went to Bishop's. I graduated in 1988. I played football when it was 8-man football. But I've been a long-time teacher at Bishop's. I started in 1998. I teach history in the 9th grade in the high school. I teach several of these young men on the team. I teach Moses, and I teach Moses Mooney, and I've taught Daniel Anderson. So I feel very lucky to somehow be a part of this experience.
And how are the kids doing in your class?
Oh, they're fantastic. They're fantastic students. They're great citizens, and they love being part of the community. Just a few days ago, Daniel Anderson dressed up as Santa Claus. It was the largest Santa Claus I'd ever seen.
You gotta love it. Well, so for Bishop, we've mentioned CIF champions this year as they won regular season. They also won CIF in 2014. And, of course, the staple season of 2010 when they won CIF in state. Looking end zone is Jackson. Is he in bounds? I don't think so. No, incomplete. Ran out of real estate towards the end of that play. And it's going to bring up 4th down, and that means we will see field goal time. Trying to get on the board will be Bishop's. And so we'll see our place kicker, Daniel Masad, come up. So let's see. I
think that was 4th down. I think we went for it on 4th down.
Oh, they did? Okay,
no.
Excuse me. I apologize. Yeah, tough to see on the scoreboard here, and they actually are not changing the down. So I guess we just have to keep track of that by ourselves. So Oakdale with the ball 1st and 10. They run the wing T off the left side. Straight ahead for about 3 yards. They'll bring up 2nd down and 7 yards to go. Let's talk about this Oakdale offense. I mean, Mark Dixon runs the wing T. You have to be a very good decision maker to run that offense. His guys in the backfield, number 2, William Simone, and number 22, Bronson Harmon. They're going to be the guys who are going to run the football a lot, and we'll see what kind of job the offensive line can do as they go on 2nd down. They run it straight up the gut for about another 3 yards. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 4 yards to go. You can see some extracurricular activity taking place at the end. No love lost between these two schools. Bishop a little over 800 in school population. Oakdale is double that, and I'll tell you what, they have traveled extremely well from Northern California.
Yeah, for a team that's 10 hours away, they've done a great job. It's really a community program, and they really are proud of their program.
Yep, so they need to get to the 37-yard line to pick up the 1st down. So let's see what they do right here. Man in motion, off the left side to Simone. Oh, he's going to lose a yard and be brought down. Good job by the defensive line right there. It's going to bring up 4th down. Now, keep in mind, during these playoffs, Oakdale on 4th and short yardage, when they've been deep in their own territory, they've had no problem going for it. And in a game against Vista Del Lago, when Zach Thomas, who's in punt formation, actually in his own end zone, did a fake punt and was able to gain the 1st down. Thought about it for a second, now lets it fly. End over end will not be returned. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Well, we have 7:04 to go here in quarter number 1. And Kamal, your thoughts early on in this one?
I mean, it's a real contrast of styles. Bishops has a multiple offense. They're spread. They've taken a couple shots downfield. They made one big play to Jackson, 35 yards. And then the Oakdale team is a running team. And if Bishops can stack the line, it'll be interesting to see if they can make them play. I think you have to watch tempo. Bishops has a really fast tempo, and let's see what happens the second time they have the ball.
Well, we know that they like to do the spread. Will we also see a Noah Huddle offense at times?
I think we're seeing that a little bit. I think they'll go quick to test the conditioning.
Yep, they try to go with the run, but nothing doing there for Hassan Moses, who during the year was their go-to guy in the backfield. 108 rushes, 825 yards, a gaudy 7.6 average, and 10 touchdowns.
You know, Oakdale's doing a great job of shooting gaps. I think
and it looks like we have an injury on the field.
Hillman is down. He lost yards on that, and Oakdale's doing a fantastic job of shooting gaps. They've got a lot of speed, and they're getting up and forcing Bishops to throw, and that was a big play. That will be a big loss if Hillman is out for the game. He's coming off an injury and to his lower leg, and so this doesn't look good for the Knights.
So it looks like he might have re-aggravated that injury.
Could be the same leg, but if it is an injury and he's out, it's going to make it hard for the Knights' running game.
Well, for the Knights head coach Joel Allen in his 8th year, a 75-28 record. He's won 3 CIF titles, and this is the 3rd time he's gone 14-0. He seems to like those even season years. 2010, 14, and 16 have been the best in school history.
He's a terrific coach, and he's much more than a coach. He's a real educator. He cares about these young men, and he treats them like sons, and they play for him.
On the flip side, meanwhile, for Oakdale, they've got the veteran coach in Tret Mirzan, his 17th year, with a record of 175, 42-1. And while he's won some CIF championships, he's never won a state title, so he's looking to add on to his resume.
He runs a terrific program. He's been there for a long time. He's an alumnus of the school himself, and he's really built a dynamic program that looks like he can compete for a championship every year.
Yep, and this Bishops team, this is an offense that has no problem putting points on the board. They've averaged 47.35 points per game, surrendered just 12.42. I mean, with a winning margin that they have of almost 29 points per game, they haven't really been in many close games at all this year.
They've just got a lot of dynamic playmakers. You can't stop one guy. There's probably 6 guys on this offense that could take the ball and run the distance.
Well, let's see what they'll do now, as they obviously do not have Hassan in the backfield. And let's see who can take over if they go to a running game. Jackson aims, fires, passes completed, but not much doing. And the one thing I will say about this Oakdale defense, they hit hard.
They're flying to the ball, and they've done a great job of keeping everything in front of them, with the exception of that one play to Jackson.
Yep, so it's going to bring up a 3rd down and long. They're back on the 29, and they need to get up to the 42, so 3rd and 13. Let's see what they do here. I mean, obviously they need to get their passing game going. That's their staple. They really can't go 3 and out, because if they do, they're playing into Oakdale's hands, a team that loves to run the football. Back to pass. Jackson under a heavy rush. Across the 30, 35 will be well short of the first down as he gets chased out of bounds, and good pressure on the defense by Oakdale's Cullen Bearden, their senior 6'3", 215-pounder.
That was an outstanding late blitz that Jackson saw, and it took his vision from down the field to scramble and get a couple positive yards.
So it will be punt formation. And we'll see Moses Mooney punt things away. And back to receive will be Zach Campbell for Oakdale, standing on his own 28-yard line. The punt is up. It's a short one. Definitely will not be returnable. It does take actually opposite roll down to the 37-yard line, so some 38. Good field position coming up here for Oakdale. Well, they play in a very tough division up in the San Joaquin section. However, they have found a way 11 of the last 14 years to be Valley Oak League champions. This year they were in a 3-way tie with Central Catholic, and Montica. Montica giving them their lone league loss. Will give straight up the gut. That's just across the 40, up to the 41. And so they'll bring up second down. They go to Simone. Not big by any stretch of the imagination. He's listed at 5'8", but he's got speed, and he can find a way to get into that second area of the defense awfully quickly. The fake, they go to the end around. 40, 45, midfield still on his horse, 45, down at the 42-yard line. Outstanding run by Bronson Harmon. So they faked it to Simone, they gave it to Harmon. He picks up the first down and then some.
You know, that's the strength of the wing T offense. It's the fact that they can really use misdirection to their strength. And it's hard to run against Bishops. Daniel Anderson is one of the strongest players in all of San Diego County and is hard to move off the center.
Yep, he's listed at 6'2", 315. They go off the left side. Good second effort. Loose ball, fumble. I think we might have a fumble here on the far side, but they have recovered just inside the 35-yard line. So a pickup of about 6 on the play. Going to bring up second down and 4 yards to go.
Second down. Second and 4.
You know, Mark, there have been 2 excellent runs, both to the left side. I think they're trying to get away from Anderson and run left. Let's see what they do again.
They run off the right side, not a whole lot doing. Picked up a couple of yards. It's going to bring up third down and short. We have 4:51 to go here in the first quarter. Still no score. Division 3A championship game on the line between Oakdale from Northern California and the Bishop School right here in La Jolla. And very interesting, both of these teams had first-round victories, winning by identical 49-0 scores, with Bishops beating the school, La Jolla, high in the first round. They run it straight up the gut. Looks like they have enough for the first down. I think there was a fumble, but I think it was at the end of the play after the player's knee already hit the ground. We'll have to unpile everyone. First down was picked up. So it'll be 1st and 10 with the ball at the 30. So the ball at the 28. Mustangs with the ball. This is what they like to do. Run the football, take a lot of time off clock, and in this case, more importantly, keep the Bishops offense off the field. Man in motion off left side, Simone. Saw a hole, but it quickly got closed up at the 26 after a pickup of 2, and that'll bring up second down and 8 yards to go. So Simone's obviously the go-to guy, and it looks like when they like to do misdirection, that's when you'll see Harmon carrying the ball.
Right, and it's really great strategy against the Bishops team that really has so many players playing both ways of the ball. If you look at the starters on both offense and defense for the Knights, they're some of the same kids.
They run it straight up the gut. 20 down to about the 16-yard line. And that's going to be good for a first down by William Simone. Of Simone, 2,632 yards rushing on the year and 28 touchdowns entering this game. And he's showing you why he's the go-to guy.
Well, he's a very tough north-south runner. He runs with great pad level, and he plays bigger than his size. He runs hard.
Once again to the run. Not much doing on that play. We're going to bring up second and long.
Not much getting around Daniel Anderson. Coming down on the stop as well. Whitmire. 1 yard on the carry.
So time-wise, we're approaching the 3-minute mark. No score in the game. So early on, the defenses are taking over, and we should mention both defenses have performed well during the course of this season. So even though the teams score a lot of points, they also can slow down their opponents. Going to the run, the 10 down to about the 7-yard line. Nice yardage there by number 22. That's Harmon on the run. So Bronson Harmon, he's only run twice, but both carries he's been quite effective.
You know, they're doing a great job of ball controlling and wearing the Bishops defense down. And this is how they play, and this is how they have to play against a team that's as explosive as Bishops.
So they're calling it third down, 1 yard to go with the ball at the 8-yard line. This is kind of mano-a-mano time. Some power football coming up here. Man in motion off the left side, Simone. The 5, touchdown, Oakdale! And with 2:11 to go here in quarter number one, the Mustangs strike first, and they take a 6-0 lead.
You know, excellent blocking up front, some great misdirection, and they just marched down the field, Mark, and did a great job of playing the way they want to play. They're dictating terms on the offensive line. Their offensive line's really firing out.
So that concludes a 62-yard drive. Simone with the 8-yard touchdown run. Extra point on the way. It is up, and it is no good. However, Oakdale gets on the scoreboard doing what they do best, running the football, not a single pass on that drive.
I think that's who they are. They're a tough team. Their offensive line is very impressive. I think they're undersized, especially against Anderson in the middle, but they've done a great job of firing out, playing low with good pad level, and they're dictating the terms of the game right now.
So here's the question I have for you, Coach. You're looking at a Bishop's team, haven't lost all season long, and when you look at their scores, they haven't been in many close games. This has been their season. Santana, 43-19. Patrick Henry, 63-0. At St. Margaret's, a very good team in Orange County, 48-24. And then they continued their season. Classical Academy, 49-0. Santa Fe Christian, 21-0. Tri-City Christian 42-20, Horizon Christian 75-28, La Jolla Country Day 37-21, 63-14 Orange Glen, Francis Parker 61-0. In the playoffs, they won 49-0 against La Jolla, 35-19 Valley Center, 49-20 against Christian, and 28-9 against Valley Christian. I want to see how this team responds trailing in a football game. Taken from the up man at the 23, 25, crosses the 30 to the 34-yard line, and that'll be good field position opening up for the Knights.
I think you bring up a wonderful point. I think the last game that they trailed was the last game they played against Valley Christian, and they came back and had a resounding victory. But it's always a mental game, and right now we have two contrasting styles, and the Knights have to get back to what they do well, which is spreading the ball around and peppering it around.
Let's see what they can do right here as they trail early on, 7-0, working into that shotgun formation. Jackson aims, fires, completes across the 40, still on his feet. 45 up to about midfield. So nice job after the catch, able to move upfield. I think that might have been Clarence Freeman on the reception, number 14. It's kind of tough to see, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, they've got silver uniforms with gold numbers, and for a man who's 54 years old, these eyes are having trouble seeing them.
Mark, I agree. It's very hard to see anyone.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to your school about changing uniforms in the off-season. The run, 45, 40, cutting back, 35, out of bounds at the 33-yard line. And that's a nice pickup there by Charette, number 21. So he's going to see a lot more action in the backfield with that early injury to Hassan Moses. And he made the most of that opportunity.
Well, the Knights have such good spacing on offense and spread that they can get that draw and they can run it.
Yep. Well, they're in the year, 27 rushes, 134 yards. Jackson picks up the loose ball. He's going to lose a couple of yards. Did a good job to make what could have been a terrible play not quite as bad. Now, we see some signs on the sideline there. Obviously, the coaches are telling the QB the play he should be calling next.
You know, Jackson is really an offensive coordinator, and what they do is relay the signs. The way the Oregon Ducks kind of have made it famous and popularized it in football.
Jackson fakes it. He's going to call his own number on his feet, works his way down to the 30-yard line. He's going to get tripped up defensively by Josh Jacobson. We've been calling his number a lot. He wears number 11. And so with that being said, it's going to be third down, and they have to get down to about the 23, and they're at the 31. We'll call it 3rd and 8. We're down to the last 38 seconds of quarter number one. It's been a really quick first quarter, and you know we have not had a single penalty in this first quarter of play.
I was going to say, it's been very well coached and very clean,
yep.
But physical football.
Two receivers, right, two left, one-man backfield. Jackson aims, fires. It's going to be incomplete, stopping the clock with 20.7 seconds to go. With it being 4th and 8, with the ball at the 31, you don't really want to attempt a 50-yard field goal, so you got to imagine that the Knights will go for it here.
You know, I think that's a very good guess for them. Yeah, I think they're going to spread it out and see if they get one of their playmakers past the marker.
Here we go, trying to catch him offside. No, they won't get a first down out of it, but it's going to make it a much more manageable fourth down. It will be now 4th and 3 instead of 4th and 8.
That's right.
I like that. And that shows the experience of Jackson. Even though only a junior, a second-year starter, I mean, at this point, he's obviously a veteran, going to your 15th game in the second year as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and the success he's had this year has been remarkable. 46 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Those are just gaudy numbers.
That they are. He's got that one-man backfield and the 4-receiver set. Ames, fires, and it's broken up nicely. And Oakdale will get the ball, and breaking it up for Oakdale was Zach Thomas, their punter and free safety. Now, I'll tell you what, not only did he break it up, he almost picked it off. And if he picks it off, he's off to the races for a pick 6.
Oakdale's defense has been very impressive. They've tackled well, they've flowed to the ball, and they've had good coverage on some of these routes. That was a tight throw, and you're right. It was thrown to the inside shoulder, and it was almost picked off.
Has there been a game this year where Bishops hadn't scored in the first quarter?
I don't know. I can't think of one that they have, but this is clearly the best opponent I think they've seen. I mean, talking to the Bishops coaches before the game, they really respected Oakdale and knew they were in for a challenge.
Absolutely. So, also Bishops had won themselves a state title back in 1997. I think you'll probably remember that team, led by NFL safety Shane Walton.
That was a remarkable team. Shane went to Notre Dame on a soccer scholarship and was found out by the staff after he was on campus. Turned out he became an All-American and intercepted a Drew Brees pass in the Senior Bowl, was a 5th-round pick for the Rams, and played for 2 years before injuring his back. He's the defensive coordinator.
Yep.
He's really the first player to be on a great Bishops 11-man team.
And how interesting, he made it as a walk-on at Notre Dame as a sophomore, and then by his senior year, he's an All-American, led the team in tackles and interceptions. Quite a story. Oakdale 1st and 10, pickup of about 3, and that'll probably be the last play of this first quarter from La Jolla High School. You're watching the CIF High School State Football Championship game, Division 3A, brought to you by TVX Video. Speaking of TVX Video, bottom line is this: we want to be covering more and more local sports here in the San Diego area. However, we cannot do it unless you, the local business, become a sponsor so we can broadcast more of these games. So you could contact Ted. He's the head honcho, Ted Bendrick. Ted at tvxvideo.com, or you can call him 619-850-9034. Our goal is to do as many games as possible, different sports throughout the county, but we cannot do it unless you, the business, make it happen. Also, as well, if you want the best in business internet, phone, and video service, it's Spectrum Business. And the easiest thing you can do is pick up the phone and call me, Mark Heller, at area code 714-620-5547. I can help you out anywhere in the country, anywhere throughout Southern California. If you prefer emailing, it's Mark, M-A-R-K, .Heller, H-E-L-L-E-R, at charter.com. Spectrum Business, the best in voice, video, and internet. Second quarter action. Here we go. Oakdale looks like attempting the first pass. It's completed. 35, 40, 45 midfield, 45, 40, still on this horse. 35, 30, and gets knocked out of bounds. Now, how about that wing T? They constantly run the football, and then all of a sudden they decide to air it out. The receiver is just wide open.
Well, that's the value of establishing the run. I think every NFL team tries to do the same thing. Everybody comes up, your safeties, your corners, and you pop the ball over the top. So that was a big-time play for them. That's a big chunk of yards for them.
That was huge. 1st and 10 from the Bishop 39-yard line. They give off right side. 35, 30, down to the 27-yard line. Nice chunk of change on that run, and they just continue to move the ball downfield. Very impressed with this team. And on the run for Oakdale, that was number 20, Cameron Cherry, 6 foot, 185-pound junior. They go right back to it, and they'll go right back to Cherry. Inside the 25, 20, down the sideline, 15, and he's going to get collared out of bounds. Let's see, where do they rule him out? They're going to actually rule him out of bounds at the 17, but back-to-back Cherry runs have been very effective.
I think this is going to be a really critical set of downs here, because the Knights are really looking bedraggled. They look tired, and they're not tackling. So the Knights are going to have to really hold them to a field goal or less.
Yep, Dixon. They give off to Simone. 10, 5, touchdown! Oh boy, that was just too easy. And with 11:26 to go in the first half, it's 12-0 Oakdale, pending the extra point.
So this is really going to be the storyline tonight, Mark. It's going to be, can the Knights, who are limited to 23 players and probably 16 healthy players, play this type of football and make tackles when they're getting physically kind of beaten up on the offensive line.
Extra point on the way by Masad. This one is up, and it is good. 13-0 is your score with 11:26 to go here in the first half. And I know the Bishop faithful right now have to be awfully silent because they knew they were taking on a good team, but I don't know if they knew they were this good.
You know, that's a great point. You know, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Knights respond, because I would say this is probably the biggest challenge they've had all year, and they've got game 15. They've got to step up and drive the ball now.
So we'll have to see how they respond right here. Trailing by a pair of touchdowns, it's 13-0. But the good news is there's still plenty of time to go in this game. But that one big play, that pass play, was truly not expected, and Mark Dixon was able to deliver, and more impressively, what the receiver did after the catch.
Yeah, it was excellent. It was excellent execution. There was blocking down the field, and they've established the run, and that's going to be the key. The Knights have to learn how to stop the ball.
Here we go. It's a squib kick, picked by the up man, falls down at the 30-yard line. And that's where Bishops is going to start 1st and 10. So Jackson falls on it. And let's see what the Knights can do, trailing by 13-0, their largest deficit of the season.
Yeah, this is going to be a critical drive for the Knights. They've got to establish their passing game and put points on the board. Don't want to go down further here.
Interesting set with the receivers in front and back on the far right side as well as the far left. Very interesting setup here. Let's see if they try and set up a pick play. Jackson calls his own number. Cuts across the 35 to the 36. Nice pickup of 6 yards, bringing up 2nd down and 4.
Mark, I think that was a designed run. The spread is such that reminds me of the Baylor offense. They're way out close to the end lines and the sidelines, and I think that was a designed run. But I think they're trying to find ways to penetrate this defense. This is a very sound defense. It tackles well and flows to the ball.
Yeah, I think one of the things Bishop needs to do that they haven't done, they need to find a way to get out on the edge and get into some one-on-one coverage where they can make some major damage. Hasn't happened so far. Off the left side, Charette up to about the 39-yard line. They'll bring up 3rd and short.
See, that was freshman Amon Banks, and Amon Banks is a dynamic freshman who has been called into action with Hassan Moses out with the injury.
Yep, and he's done well. 42 carries, 351 yards, an 8.4 average, and 4 touchdowns. At a shotgun, they go right back to the freshman. They'll get tripped up. No gain there. He's going to bring up 4th and short. So if you're Bishop, do you decide to punt and give them the ball back, or do you maybe try and go for it here?
You know, this looks like they're going to go for it. This is an offense that's very confident, that's been prolific this year, but this is a critical play. They need to get this first down. You can't give this team a short field.
Yep, Jackson calls his own number, and he's not going to get it. He's been stuffed. That play never got underway, and you have to give credit to that Oakdale defensive line because they made sure that there was no opening, led by number 64, Matt Kajelgard. He's their star on the defensive line, along with Levi Icord and Michael Everett, as well as Cullen Bearden. And they simply stuff the Knights and get 1st and 10 at the Knights' 38-yard line. That's a huge play.
It was a gutsy call by the Knights, but it backfired. They got no line push, no surge behind their big man, and now they've really got their backs against the wall. They got to get a stop here and force a turnover.
Dixon gives to Simone off the right side. 30, folds his way to the 25, down to the 23. That's a 15-yard pickup. And I'll tell you what, they are picking up huge chunks of real estate with every run. And the Knights right now are just getting beaten at that line of scrimmage.
You know, it's really hard. It's hard. The Knights have got to be stout here and stop them, but they're really got great momentum, and they're running right down the Knights' throat. They're running right at the big middle guard, Dan Anderson.
Dixon, under center. Barks the signals. Man in motion to the left. Off right side to Simone. Works his way to about the 20. It's about a 3-yard pickup, bringing up 2nd down and 7 to go. We have 9:18 to go here in the first half. The 3A state championship high school football game here in California between Bishop, who obviously a decidedly home advantage here in their hometown of La Jolla, but it's the visitors from Northern California who are really taking advantage. Off the right side, they go to Harmon. He works inside the 20, down to the 18. That's a pickup of 4, and it'll bring up 3rd down and about 3 yards to go.
Yeah, this is a critical stop for the Knights. They have to make this team stop the middle run. They've got to stop them here. This is a critical play.
Dixon under center. They give off left side. 1st down and then some. To the 5, down to the 3. It's going to be 1st and goal. Boy, they just continue to pick up huge chunks of real estate.
You know, Mark, this is a very, very efficient offense, and they're doing what they do. They're pounding the ball. They're using their running backs. Last week, the running back had 38 carries for over 300 yards rushing. That's a commitment to the running game.
Yep. Harmon, man in motion, just ran with it. They give it to Simone. Is he in? We haven't gotten the call. Yes, touchdown. 8:10 to go here in the first half, and Oakdale is running away with it. They're now up 19-0. The extra point coming up. The kick is up. And it is good by their kicker, Colin Harity. So with 8:10 to go here in the first half, it has been all Oakdale. They lead by the count of 20-0. Well, they always say that offense wins games and defense championships. So far, it's a combination of the offense and defense that's working for Oakdale. On the flip side, right now, Bishops can't catch a break.
You know, this is a very fine Oakdale team. This is an Oakdale team that defensively tackles, runs the ball, defends passes, and they are efficient on offense. They are dominating the offensive. Their offensive line is dominating Bishop's defense. Bishop's looks tired and beleaguered, and the Knights are really going to have to pick up something. Special teams will be critical. I wonder if Oakdale will kick it deep or squib it again. The Knights need a big play here.
That they certainly do, and like we said, they've been running through their opponents throughout the playoffs, but tonight it's been a whole different story. We can throw out these numbers out the window because you might have gotten here based on that production, but the production needs to be here, and it needs to start now. They go for that squib kick again. Fair catch called for at the 22. That's kind of a surprising fair catch call. I know he was running the other way and it was over the top, so maybe he couldn't see the defenders, but he certainly had some room to run.
You know, it's an interesting call, but I think that they're smart in kicking short because they're keeping the Knights in front of them and putting them on a long field, and that's going to be really important. The Knights have to get a drive together now. Have to get a drive, 8 minutes and 10 seconds. If
they're going to score a touchdown, they're going to have to travel 77 yards as they begin 1st and 10 from their own 23. Mark Keller, Kamal Asaf, thanks so much for joining us. And Kamal, thanks for joining us, really giving us a lot of insight here today.
Thanks so much, Mark. It's great to be a part of this program.
Looking to air it out. He's going deep. And that pass really just kind of fluttered up in the air and fell down. And luckily, that one fell incomplete. Could have been intercepted.
You know, he got hit as he threw, and they were trying to go up top to Mooney. But the Knights have to put together a drive. It's hard right now. They're not making plays.
Yep, well, the other thing is that offensive line. They've got to give Jackson time to throw that football as he works out of the shotgun formation. They go to the runoff left side of Banks. Banks on his feet. Across the 25 to the 30 to about the 31. That's a nice pickup there, and it's going to bring up 3rd down and 3 yards to go. And I really like what we're seeing from this youngster, Amon Banks. No doubt he's the future running star of this program.
He's done a great job hitting holes and keeping his feet moving. This is going to be a critical 3rd down, Mark. They need to get this down.
Oh, absolutely. 1st down with a capital F. Rolling right is Jackson. Ames, fires. The catch is made. Is he inbounds? Yes, he is. Just across the 40 at the 41. And that's going to be good for a 1st down by Jackson.
That was Jackson to Jackson. The brothers really know each other well, and that was an unbelievable pass. An unbelievable throw and catch. Those brothers really have great chemistry together.
So when you think of Jackson and Jackson, what do you think? Law firm, accounting firm, or what do you go with there?
Well, you got the Jackson 2 instead of the Jackson 5.
There you go. Out of shotgun. Jackson aims, fires, incomplete. Also, a flag flies at the end of the play. I'm not sure if we might possibly have a hold. We'll have to wait for the call. But it is our first penalty of the game that comes with 7:18 to go in the 1st half.
These are 2 very well-coached teams.
Yep, it's a hold. Anytime that flag is thrown around an offensive lineman, that's usually the call.
You know, the advantage of being up 20-0, excuse me, is that you can come out and get the quarterback. The Knights are resigned to throwing a lot. They're trying to stay balanced, but they have to get points on the board. This is a critical drive. Now they've got a long 1st down.
Yep, they got to get themselves down to the 49-yard line. And with the ball at the 29, so that's going to be 1st and 22. Jackson calls his own number. Not a whole lot doing there. Just across the 30 to the 31. He thought he saw a hole, and it sure plugged up quickly.
Well, I think it was a designed run. I think when you're 1st and forever, you're trying to be unpredictable. And right now, the defensive team has 3 pass rushers. That means they're dropping 8, and that's hard to throw against.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, in the meanwhile, Everett and Bearden and Kajelgard and Icord, they're doing a great job of not allowing big plays. And like we said, Bishop is kind of hitting no man's land where they've never been before, down 20 points. Jackson aims, fires, completes to Banks. He's running with the ball across the 40, knocked it about to about the 42-yard line. He'll be well short of the 1st down. Jackson with the catch.
Again, they really look like they're in sync here, the Jacksons, and that was a good gain. That makes it a much closer 3rd down. But again, it's a 3rd and long, and this defense is doing a great job of keeping the Knights in front of them, and that's, I think, what they're trying to do here. Let's see if they blitz this time, Mark.
Okay. Four receivers set, 2 wide either side, 1-man backfield, 3-man front. Jackson, he's looking deep down the sideline, and there must have been some kind of miscommunication because the receiver went one way and the ball went the other.
Yeah, and again, it was a delayed blitz. They blitzed off the edge, and the running back was trying to pick that up. So there's not a lot of time for Jackson to throw. The Knights being down 20-0. This is a really critical next series here for them.
Well, it's 4th down, and they're going to have to punt the ball right back to Oakdale. And I'll tell you what, defensively, they really need to come up with some type of scheme to slow down this offense, because you let them score another touchdown, and it may be kind of no man's land in coming back in this one. Mooney to punt. Campbell to receive. Short punt does take a roll for Bishops, and it will be 1st and 10 with the ball at the 22-yard line. 6:11 remaining to play here in the 1st half. A reminder, this game is being brought to you by TBX Video. To bring future games, we need businesses to become sponsors. You want to call my man Ted Bendrick at 619-850-9034 or email him ted@tbxvideo.com. We'd like to thank everyone on the crew. Andrew Leadham, our live editor. On camera, we have George Langevin, Ted Bendrick, and son Teddy Bendrick. And we've got Luis Rivera as our TD. I'm Mark, along with Kamal. Here we go. Oakdale, Dixon, aims, fires, and the ball is dropped at the 38. had it for a second and then lost it. Good coverage, bringing up second down and 10 yards to go.
Yeah, you really think Oakdale's kind of going for the jugular. Again, it was a little play action work, and the quarterback sprinted to his right and almost completed a nice 17-yard pass, but it was incomplete.
Yep, and the first incomplete pass of the day. So they're 1 of 2 going airborne as we approach the 6-minute mark to go here in the first half. Once again on the run. Pickup of about maybe 2 or 3 yards. Will bring up third down and long. They've got to get to, looks like in between the 32 and 33 to pick up that first down. So for Bishop, if they can find a way to make a stop right here, they have an opportunity for very good field position.
Bishops has to make a play here. You'd think that they can get a stop, they can get good field position and be able to punch it in before the end of the first half.
So here we go. Dixon back to pass. Ames fires, complete. Receiver wide open. 40, 45, midfield. Works his way down to the 45-yard line of Bishop. And they'll move the chains first down. On the reception, it's Cameron Cherry, number 20.
Well, there was a breakdown coverage, Mark, because nobody went out to the flats, and he made an easy catch and throw, and that is a critical mistake for the Knights.
That's a 30-yard pickup. Both times they've completed passes, they've been over 30-yard completions. Off the right side, inside the 40, 35, 30, still on his feet. 25, cuts back down to the 22. Cherry with a huge pickup. I'll tell you what, this kid is dynamic and something else to watch. That's a 23-yard pickup for number 20, Cameron Cherry.
Yeah, these are big chunks of yards that you can't give up to a team that really is pretty conservative. But the Knights have to now buckle down, and they have to keep them out of the end zone. This is a critical series of downs here for the Knights.
Well, everything is going away. Trent Murzan has designed it and then some. Off the right side, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! It's just becoming too easy on the touchdown run for Simone, his third touchdown run of the night.
Yeah, this is a difficult one for the Knights. Now, they dug themselves in a hole. The Knights are going to have to find a way to score here in the last 4 minutes and 50 seconds of the first half. This is a real challenge. This is a fantastic football team Oakdale has put together.
Let's see, Harity to attempt the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. And so your score is now 27-0 with 4:43 to go here in the first half. And like we said, Bishops has not faced this type of test, this type of team this year. This team from Northern California that had about a 9 or 10 hour ride, obviously a team on a mission.
You know, a very well-coached team and a very physical team. I think one of the things I noticed, too, is just the number of players they have in their program. I mean, this is a team that has traveled well, that has really put together a great game plan and has executed it. It's a team of a lot of mentally tough and physically tough kids.
Oakdale, 49 players. Bishops, 22, 25?
Yeah, I mean, maybe 18 healthy ones, and that's one of the challenges. That's the one thing to watch. Will the Knights be able to make a big play or two here at the end of the half to get back in the game?
Yep, and here we go with the kickoff from Colin Harity. Let's see if they continue to go with that short kick once again. And they do. This one's almost a real squiver, and it's a loose ball fumble. Who wants it at the 32-yard line? And it is picked up by the Mustangs. By the Knights. You know what I would do, really, if I was Bishop, since I know they're going to continue to do those short kicks? I take my up man and I put him up to about the 30, 35-yard line. Let your up man take it, and maybe he can do something with that.
They're going to have to do it. I think it's a wonderful strategy by Oakdale. I mean, Oakdale doesn't want to give a big play up, and they're keeping the Knights off guard. But you're right. They need to push everybody up and make a play on the catch. Now they have to drive 70 yards here to get a score with 4 minutes left to play.
Out of shotgun formation, down by 4 touchdowns. Ames fires, and the completion made ahead to the 35-40 and brought down at the 43-yard line. And with the reception is number 4, Isaiah Dawson. His first catch of the night. He entered the game tonight, 15 receptions, 297 yards, an average of almost 20 a catch, and a pair of touchdowns.
Isaiah Dawson's one of their fastest, most dynamic plays. So the Knights are trying to get the ball in space and high percentage passes.
Back to pass is Jackson. That pass got wobbled, and it's also incomplete. It's going to bring up second down. Of course, once that ball gets touched, everybody is fair game, so you're allowed to hit the receiver once that occurs.
But, Mark, it's great coverage, and there's really not a lot of big spaces for these guys to work in. This is a fantastic defense right here. It's flying to the ball.
Yep, but the one thing I've noticed is that we have not seen Mooney in there as a wide receiver tonight.
Mooney's been injured all week, so he has not practiced, and that's been one of the challenges.
And so maybe that shoulder injury we heard about was true. Pass incomplete. Going to bring up 3rd and long. And now really Oakdale starting to impose their will, even on an incomplete pass, taking the receiver and pounding him to the turf.
Oakdale is really been great in coverage, and they've been quick to tackle. And if the Knights don't have the ball where it needs to be, there are a lot of contested throws right now. That pass was a little behind Jackson. This is a critical play, Mark, and this might be 4th down territory. I'm not sure.
Yep, let's see what they can do from the 44 out of shotgun. Jackson aims, fires, completes. It's good for a first down at the 43-yard line, and I'll tell you what, they needed that. Looks like maybe is he injured, getting up very slowly at the end of the play. Making the catch was Justin Woodley, and we know Woodley has been playing with that quadricep injury, but he's holding his shoulder. That is not a good sign.
That is not a good sign.
Hopefully maybe it's just a stinger, and maybe he'll just come back to life on this chilly evening.
That's a great throw and catch. Woodley is a real force. He's a tight end who can really catch in the seams.
6'2", 215, good size. They set up the bubble screen. Except guess what? It gets totally snuffed out on the attempt to Isaiah Dawson. That's going to be a loss of 2 yards on the play. And the thing I'm impressed about Oakdale is that the defensive players understand their assignments and they stay at home. They don't overcommit.
They're doing a great job, and part of being a great football defense is running the ball and tackling. And Bishops has not broken many tackles, particularly in the last couple minutes. This has been a difficult second quarter with very few big plays and run yards after the catch. 3:27
to go, and the clock continues to tick here in the first half. Bishops down 27-0. They give off to Charette inside the 45 to about the 43, but that's still going to bring up 3rd down and 10 yards to go. An important conversion coming up here for the Knights, but like you said, this is definitely 4-down territory.
Here comes Woodley back in the game. That's a really important thing for them. The Knights are trying to spread the ball around and trying to be multiple, but it's very difficult. This is a very disciplined defense that's flying to the ball, and they're getting a lot of pressure with the 3-man rush. Let's see if they blitz this time again.
Back to pass, aims, fires, completes. Cutting back inside the 30, down to the 27 is Jackson. That's good for a first down, and that was much needed. It's like going to the doctor, getting the checkup, and finding out you're healthy.
That was one of the biggest plays of the half for the Knights. They've just converted. They're now close to the red zone, and that was like oxygen. They needed that.
What impressed me was what Jacob was able to do after the catch. 3 guys missed him. He was able to pick up 16 yards on the first down. Flag flies. I'm not sure if it was too much time by the offense. Illegal procedure is going to go against Bishop, so that'll put them back 5 yards. Nothing more frustrating than having that momentum starting to go that way, and then a penalty sometimes finds a way to kind of sock it to you.
Yeah, the Knights need a score in the worst way for their confidence and just to get back in this game. So let's see if they can put something together.
This Oakdale team 13-2 on the year, 6-1 in a very tough league. Back to pass is Jackson. He's under a heavy rush, and he's going to be sacked back at the 35-yard line.
Again, great pressure on the ends, nowhere to go outside. They contained him and forced him up the middle, and that is that's a difficult proposition to make a play. This makes it a long second down here with that penalty.
Yep. Well, for Oakdale, they had trailed in each of their last 4 games, including 14-0 against Merced and 10-6 against Sutter. But tonight, they have led throughout this one. Jackson sets up the screen beautifully. Cutting back 35, but just to the 34. It looked like they had an opening with Charette, but as soon as he caught it and cut back, 2 defenders in the way. Late flag flies at the end of the play. I have a feeling we might have an unsportsmanlike conduct call here, but we'll let the officials make the call.
Yeah, Mark, it was a really wonderful call. You know, the screen was set up perfectly, but again, that was an outstanding tackle in open field, and that's what Oakdale's doing consistently.
Yep, and I think some of the frustration now is showing on the players of Bishop, down by 4 touchdowns. Remember, you can't get it all back at once. It's one of those things, play by play, drive by drive, but sometimes as a teenager, it's tough to remember those things.
Yeah, and those are things the coaches will talk to them at halftime, but this is a critical series of downs now. The Knights have to find a way to get points on the board to get them back into the game and get their mojo back.
Well, that they do. Mentioned Oakdale won their opening round playoff game 49-0. They haven't looked back, setting up that screen once again, but that's a play we have seen way too often that Oakdale is used to seeing, and they are able to snuff it out. And once again, the Knights get stopped.
Yeah, in this situation, Mark, I think the Knights are going to punt because the ball's been pushed back to their side of the field. I think the Knights are going to punt and push them back.
And Oakdale calling a timeout, stopping the clock with 1:11 remaining. I'd like to remind you this game being brought to you by TVX Video. You can go to www.tvxvideo.com. You can call my man Ted Bendrick at 619-850-9034 or email him, ted@tvxvideo.com. We want to broadcast a lot more future sporting events here in the San Diego area. We can't do it without the businessman. We leave it up to you.
It's very critical that we get support.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are businessmen throughout Southern California and need the best in voice, video, and internet, it's Spectrum Business to help you out. And I can help you out directly because I'm an account executive with them. So pick up the phone and call me, Mark Heller, at area code 714-620-5547. If you prefer the email method, it's Mark, MARK.Heller, HELLER, @charter.com. Tell you, Spectrum, great company to work with. I've been with them for 6.5 years in the business department for 3 years, and we are growing and helping out businesses every day. It's punt formation time. Standing on his own 35. Gets it away, end over end. That one will be non-returnable, and for Oakdale, 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line with 62 seconds remaining to play in the first half. So if you're Bishops, you're down by 4 touchdowns. Do you maybe try and find a way to cause a turnover and get the ball and try and put some points on the board before you hit the locker room?
You know, that would be an ideal situation. You know, do you put more people up on the line? The challenge is Oakdale's done a great job passing the ball. For a running team, they've been very efficient, and they've made some of their biggest plays with some of their swing passes and some of their play action work. So let's see what they can do here.
Yep. They score 37 points per game, and they've already scored 27 here in the first half. Across the 30 to about the 32, and I think Oakdale's going to use another timeout here, stopping the clock with 57.4 seconds to go. They want to set things up, and I'll tell you what, you know, if you're Coach Merzan and everything's going your way, he's probably thinking maybe I could find a way to put one more touchdown on the board before we hit the locker room.
You know, it's something that I'm sure he'd love to do. The one challenge is he doesn't want to give Bishops a chance to make a pick and take it to the house. Bishops has a lot of speed on defense. Some of these same players on offense are playing defense, so they're playmakers. So that would be the one thing I think they would want to do, is they would want to keep the ball to a short passing game or run it effectively and see if they can punch it in. But the Knights have a lot of speed and a lot of talent on defense, so we'll see what happens. Well,
for Bishops, as good as this season has been, the half has not gone the way they had hoped. Down by 4 touchdowns. The bad news is you're down by 4 touchdowns. The good news is you got 2 more quarters to play and see if you can find a way to make a game of it. We've seen stranger things happen before in sports. Dixon, who has played a fantastic first half, end around to Harmon on his feet, 35, 40, across the 45 to the 46, and that's good for an Oakdale first down. And excuse me, it's actually Cameron Cherry on the carry. And they're getting themselves set up in the no huddle, trying to get some points on the board. They'll spike it and stop the clock with 47.3 seconds to go. Do you remember, because for when I was growing up as a kid, I never remember the spike as a play to stop the clock. Do you remember when that first started happening?
I'm not sure when that started happening. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the NFL became pass happy, I'd say, in the 80s. It was the Chargers in the early 80s and some of the other quarterbacks like Dan Marino who really used it effectively.
Yep, they'll give the cherry off the right side, 45. Across midfield, down to the 49, but does not get out of bounds. And Oakdale is going to burn their last time out with 40.7 seconds to go. I'll tell you what, I've been impressed with the running of Cherry. I mean, let's face it, Simone is their touchdown guy. He's scored touchdown runs. He actually has all 4 of their touchdown runs from 8, 18, 3, and 22 yards. But in between, we've seen some nice runs from both Harmon and Cherry.
I think what has really gone underestimated is the offensive line. While they're not big kids, they really fire out and they're very physical. And this offensive line has had their way with the Bishop's defense, despite the fact that Dan Anderson might be the finest interior defender in all of San Diego County and someone who weighs well north of 300 pounds.
And their offensive line at center, it's Jorge Barajas. He wears number 50. Offensive guards, number 53, Connor Reed, and number 56, Jacob Teitchen. And your offensive tackles, number 54, Brandon Vieira, and number 55, Nico Sorali. And those 5 might actually be the stars of this football game.
They've done a great job. The quarterback hasn't been touched, and the running game has really been on fire.
Under center, fakes, looking to go to the air, and it's caught. Still on his feet. And that's been the story of this game, has been they haven't passed often, but when they have, it's been big plays, and Dixon has completed 3 of 4 here tonight.
Well, on that play, Mark, there were multiple people open. There were multiple people for Oakdale open. The Knights just came right up to play the run, and they got it.
Dixon spikes it and stops the clock with 27.9 seconds to go. Did you have a chance to see who caught that last one?
I didn't see who caught that, actually, no.
Okay, but he was wide open, like you said, and that's the thing about this wing T. You run, go to the pass, the defense is expecting the run, and the receiver is wide open, and it's happened 3 times.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why people love the wing T. There's so many multiple looks that you can get out of, and you're getting a defense that's flying up to stop the run, committing, and giving up big plays on the other end.
Under center. Rolling left is Dixon. He's looking to air it out. End zone. Is it intercepted? Broken up.
Well, in that time, they had safety help on the running back as he came out, so that was a good defensive play.
So that pass was intercepted in the end zone, and it'll be 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. So the first turnover of this football game with 21.1 seconds to go. Now, down 4 touchdowns, do you just knee it and go into the locker room, or maybe try and make something happen?
You know, it's a great question. Maybe they maybe they try to get a quick out and see if we get a playmaker like Dawson, the ball in space. But this is a situation where the Knights need to put points on the board in the worst way. So I think they'll make a quick pass and see if they can get somebody in space.
Out of shotgun formation, they still have timeouts remaining. The pass with running room and then some. Across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. With the reception is Dawson. So the young man you spoke about was the one that made the reception, and they stopped the clock at 14.6 seconds at least to move the chains. Out of shotgun. Waning moments of this one. Jackson airing it out down the sideline, and it's going to be incomplete. Looking for Dawson once again with 3.6 seconds to go. So maybe what you try and do with one last play, maybe try and complete the ball to about the 50, do a little hook and ladder play, and see if you can take it into the house and get on the scoreboard going into the locker room.
You know, Mark, in this situation, being down with 4 touchdowns, they need to do something to get the ball to their playmakers. So I think that Oakdale's going to play way back, but look for the Knights to do something creative to get a completion and see if they can get a long pass play.
And the Knights call timeout, and I think they really need to find a way to get isolations going, some one-on-one to where some of their playmakers can get into space.
That's been the hard part. I mean, Oakdale's defense has been very disciplined. They put 2 safeties over top. It really looks like they're running a 2-deep zone and keeping everything in front. And the pass rush has hit Jackson enough and stopped the run enough that Jackson has had to throw pinpoint passes. And when he's not accurate, he's not been the Knights have not been successful.
Well, with Bishops being down by 4 touchdowns, we're going to have to see if the coaching staff has part magician in that.
Well, I think the critical thing for the coaching staff will making sure these kids don't get frustrated and quit on themselves, because the Knights have not been in this position for a long time. I'm talking about all season and maybe since last year.
So with the ball at the 32-yard line, waning moments here, it's second down. Out of shotgun. Let's see what they go with here. And we're going to have a penalty and a late flag, which I know will go against Oakdale, but the question is, what was the original call? Probably on the offense, the way they blew the whistle. So we might just simply have offsetting penalties here. We'll let the man in the white cap make the call. So we have a dead ball foul going against the offense. That was the false start. But then we also have unsportsmanlike conduct called against Oakdale. They'll walk that off, and that'll be an automatic first down. With the ball just outside the 42. So being at the 42, 2 seconds, you got 1 play left. You know, you might be able to try the Hail Mary.
You know, Mark,
and see if you can pull one up.
Mark, I think it's what they have to do. They've got to get the ball down and take a shot here. Let's see if they can give them time.
Jackson under a heavy rush, rolling right. He's going to be sacked at the 31-yard line, and that's how this first half is going to end. Jacob Peterson comes up with the sack. And at the end of the first half from La Jolla High School, surprise, surprise, the visitors from the north. It's not that they have the lead. It's the fact that it's Oakdale 27 and Bishops nothing as we've reached halftime.
You know, Oakdale, if you ask the Oakdale head coach, I think they put together the blueprint of how they want to play, and they've been very successful. And now it looks like there's another night on the field, and this is something they cannot afford. They cannot afford more injuries.
Well, the bottom line is it has been run for Oakdale with the occasional pass as they're 3 of 4 on their lone passing attempts. Simone with 4 touchdown runs of 8, 18, 3, and 22. And the defense has done a stellar performance in taking an offense that averages over 47 points per game, and through 30 minutes, they have shut them out.
I think what's been most impressive is how they've tackled, how they've flowed to the ball, and how they've kept everything in front. There have been very few big plays for the Knights, and the offensive line has really been magnificent for Oakdale. They've really dominated the trenches and given the running backs opportunities to get the ball through the gaps.
Well, while Oakdale has won 3 CIF titles in 6 years, they have never won a state title, and they are 30 minutes away from pulling the trick on that. And I think let's see, who was that was injured that is now getting up?
Draw everyone's attention down to the 15-yard line. Jackie Gomez and Chris Sanders is going to be.
But we've got 30 more minutes of football to play with your score, Oakdale 27 and Bishops nothing. Second half action coming up at the end of halftime as you're watching exclusive action of the Division III High School State Football California Championships right here on TVX Video.
Saunders setting up the kick for it. Chris Saunders of the Harvard football team. And good. Jensen gets free dress. And yet to be determined. And the Harvard football legend will line up again for Jensen. This one for free dress for the entire school. Let's give it up for Jensen. It is no good. Oh, but that was a great shot there. Both of our kickers. Oh, it looks like he's going to get one more attempt. One more attempt for free dress for the entire school. Let's get it done and give it up for Jensen.
high school, the Division 3A state title championship game. It's been all Oakdale, the visitors from up north, as they lead the hometown Bishop squad by the count of 27-0. Thanks for joining us along with Kamal Asaf. I'm Mark Keller. Let's give you the first half numbers. Oakdale has dominated with 321 total yards, 222 yards rushing, and 99 passing. Simone's been the rushing star, 17 carries, 106 yards, and 4 touchdown scores of 8-18, 3 and 22 yards. Cherry, 8 carries, 89 yards. Harmon, 3 for 27. Dixon through the air, 3 of 7 for 99 yards, with 1 interception. For Bishop, Jackson has completed 14 of 22 passes for 134 yards, and 6 of those have gone to his brother Jacob for 104 yards. The rush, it has been virtually nil. 17 carries, 13 yards.
Well, that's a credit to the defense for Oakdale, and that's hard for the Knights because they really try to stay balanced. They want to keep Oakdale on their heels, and they're not able to do it. I think one of the things to say is Mooney has not been able to really play. He was out with a shoulder injury all week. He was a game-time decision, and he is their most dynamic receiver. He's got 17 touchdowns this year and is really their go-to guy, and not having him is a huge loss. We'll see what happens in the second half. But
and Moses Mooney, you're losing a guy, 69 receptions, 1,081 yards, 15.7 average. He also, when he would carry the ball, 21 times for 104 yards and 5 touchdowns there.
He's a dynamic playmaker, and he can beat you in any position. He can play quarterback, running back, and receiver, and he also helps you on defense. He can play corner and safety. So not having him in the game on every play has really hurt the Knights and made them much less explosive and more predictable.
And I'd like to thank Jim Lindgren of the San Diego Union Tribune, as he was kind enough to provide us with all the halftime numbers. So we got 30 more minutes of football to play, and the bottom line is what were being said in each of those locker rooms. Let's start off with your squad, the Bishop Knights.
I think Coach Allen and his coaches, who are fantastic, are telling those players, hang in there. You know, we've never been in this situation, but we have to just take one play at a time. It's cliche, Mark, but they have to get one score before they can get a second score. And they have to make stops. You know, defensively, they're going to have to stop the run and make this team punt the ball, because part of the game here is mental. You know, you're playing a more physical team. You're playing a team that looks fresher, playing with more bodies. You're going to have to tackle, and you're going to have to put Oakdale in a position to pass the ball and not give them first down so easily.
And also a big part of the game is field position, and Oakdale has had a huge advantage in that area. If you remember, one time Bishop went for it 4th and short. They got stopped at their 38-yard line, and Oakdale had a real short field to work with, and 3 plays later they were on the scoreboard.
You know, it was a gutsy call by Coach Allen. We've seen Bill Belichick do that before in the past. We've seen teams go for it. He felt strongly that his team needed to make a play, and they didn't make a play. But it'll be really interesting. The first couple minutes of this half, Mark, are going to define this game. Do the Knights come out with moxie? Do they come out swinging and playing good football, or are they unable to get back into the game? It's really going to be about their mental game and their ability to sustain the fact that, hey, they lost the first half, but now you got to win the second half.
And on the flip side, the Mustangs, Trent Merzan, he couldn't have written a better script for his squad. I'm sure probably the only thing he said is do for the next 30 minutes what you did in the first 30.
And, you know, the critical thing in high school with high school athletes is that's hard to do. You know, you even see pro athletes sometimes put their foot off the pedal. A couple months ago, the San Diego Chargers were up 21-3 in the fourth quarter against Kansas City and ended up losing that game to the Chiefs in game 1, and that has kind of defined their season. So let's see what this Oakdale team can do, because that's critical. This is a big play Knights offense that, while they're injured and they're beaten up, can sting you. So I think it's really important that Oakdale continues to do what they do, and I'm sure Coach Marzano has talked about that.
Hey, Kamal, the great thing about the games being on the internet is that people can watch from anywhere and everywhere, and you have some alums who are watching in some different parts of the country.
Yeah, we've got one of my former players and former students, and someone in Mark Chedrick in Kansas City. Want to give you a shout-out. We know you're watching us in Kansas City, and hope that you're excited about the Knights and proud. Mark was on the 2010 team that won the state title and was a player at Bishop's, and with his brother AJ, and loyal follower, and we're excited that you're listening to us in Kansas City, Mark. We wish you the best, and we hope that the Knights will put on a good show in the second half.
Well, much of the country right now is in sub-zero temperatures. I wonder if KC is on the positive side of that zero number.
Well, that's a good question. I know that KC is pretty hot about their team. That Chief team is playing good football. Andy Reid's got Alex Smith and the crew doing a great job. So Mark said Kansas University, University of Kansas, the great basketball power in the Midwest.
That they are. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and Google, and let's see what the temperature is in Kansas City right now, as I wait for my phone to kind of sync up and do its thing with the weather thing. But cold in much of the country. I know on the East Coast where I grew up, seeing temperatures in the teens along the eastern seaboard in Long Island, New York, where I hail from. Well, speaking of Long Island, where I grew up, the school I went to, Hofstra University, back in the days when they had a football program, back in the 80s, they ran the wing tee. And Mickey Kwiatkowski, who was their head coach back then, had been the offensive coordinator at Delaware, where they really had established that wing tee. So he really brought that tradition to Hofstra, and they were dangerous. They would run. I remember Rob McKenna, Mick Mullins ran the football, and then all of a sudden when you're expecting the run, they do the pass to their top receiver, Emma Wogelmuth, and just like that, it was 6 points on the scoreboard. So
it's a very effective offense, Mark, and we know that Paul Johnson out at Georgia Tech runs the triple option. These offenses, Air Force D. Dallas used to play. These are hard offenses to figure out, particularly if you can dominate the line of scrimmage the way Oakdale has done it tonight.
Well, and Bishop's not only down by 27-0, but they have to kick the ball off to Oakdale to open up this second half. So let's just see what was said in the locker rooms, and let's see if Bishops can make a game of it. And here we go. And they go with the squib kick. Loose ball fumble, and it'll be picked up at the 40-yard line. So they try to kind of pull off what Oakdale did, but not quite as effective as the Oakdale pooch kicks, and good field position for the Mustangs as we open up the second half.
Well, you can't blame the Knights. It's an onside kick. They're trying to get a play here. They're multiple touchdowns behind, and they're trying to get some energy here. Now, this is really important, Mark. I would say this is the most important series of downs for the Knights. They have to force a 3-and-out for the Oakdale team.
Here we go. Dixon under center, who did such a fine job running that offense. Just had that one interception in the waning moments of the first half. They give off right side to Simone. Across up to the 45-yard line. That's a quick hitter for 5 yards, and so Simone can tack on 5 yards to the 106. In the second half, he's up to 111 yards in this football game.
Mark, it doesn't bode well when Oakdale's able to get 5 yards on first down. The Knights have to keep them to 2 or 3 yards max.
Man in motion, they go right back to Simone. He's going to pick up 4 yards, just shy of the first down. At the 49-yard line, it'll bring up third down and 1 yard to go.
Yeah, this is a situation that Oakdale probably can push the next 2 downs. The Knights have to get a couple stops here and push the Oakdale back. I wouldn't mind seeing the Knights blitz or put more pressure, bring more people up. Of course, that puts them in jeopardy of giving up something on the pass.
Yep, they have to try and punch that football out of their hands when they carry it. They give off right side to Simone. He's got the first down at the Bishop 48-yard line, and they'll move those chains. How often have we said that here tonight?
You know, Mark, I think one of the biggest things in football that's missed by a lot of casual fans is the offensive defensive line plays are really the game. You know, the big people and what they do in the trenches make the little people on the outside play a lot better. And in this situation, Oakdale has dominated the Bishop's defensive line.
That they have. They have to find a way to come to life. Still plenty of time. 10:50 to go here in quarter 3. I love the way they run up to the line before they run the play. Simone off the right side, 45, 40. And that's where he's brought down. That's a nice 8-yard pickup. That's going to bring up second down and 2. 2nd and 2. Boy, it just gives you so many options.
You know, Simone runs hard for a back who's probably 5'8" and 170 pounds. I mean, this is a really hard-running offensive line and offensive backfield. You've got to give this team a lot of credit. 2nd and 2 is very difficult to stop because that gives them a lot of options.
Defender Matt Kajelgard, he was on the internet and was talking about this trip when they got down here. He said this is a business trip. We're not here for fun. We're here to win a championship. Simone 30, 25, still on his feet, twists down to the 22-yard line. No doubt Simone has been the running star in this football game. He's able to pick up another 20 yards and another first down.
Yeah, one of the things that you see when you watch Oakdale plays, you see fresh bodies run on and fresh bodies run off, and they can change formations and they can bring new players, and the Knights can't do that right now. That's hard.
Under center, they'll go right side to Cherry. Cherry works his side to about the 15, and that's a big pickup of 8 yards. Once again, the 2nd and 2. He cannot give up 8 yards on first down, and that seems to be the storyline here early in the second half.
You know, Mark, the Knights cannot afford to give up a touchdown here. They've got to get some penetration in the backfield, and they've got to get a stop.
So here we go. 2nd and 2. They'll run it off the right side to Cherry. Didn't need a lot, didn't get a lot. I'm not quite sure if he got the first down or if I think it's going to be 3rd and short.
This is a critical series of downs here, Mark. They have to stop them, either force them to kick a field goal or stop them. I would love to see the Knights put more pressure on the pocket by bringing more bodies, but
let's see what they do right here. 3rd down and 1 yard to go. That two-man backfield, they give to Simone. Simone off the right side. He's got the first down just inside that.
I don't know if he got the first down.
I'm not sure. No, I think you're right. I think he might have been stopped there. Let's see where they place it. It's going to be awfully close. They're putting it down at the 13-yard line, and it looks like that's where they needed to get for the first down. 4th and 1.
Here it is.
So here we go. Put on your seatbelt. Under center. And we've got a timeout called on the field. It will be called by... Who's called that timeout? Called by the Mustangs. I guess they want to make sure they have the right play call in. I mean, up 27-0 and knocking once again. It's almost like if they score this touchdown, it might be the knockout punch.
You know, it is a critical down for the Knights. They've got to figure out a way to get penetration, get Anderson up the field, maybe bring the linebackers, but this is a very critical possession. If the Knights can stop them here, you would hope they could get some energy and get the ball back down the field.
Yeah, well, the one thing with the wing T, the battle is really in between those tackles, because very rarely are you going off the edge. So it's not like if you have that great defensive end, he's coming around to get pressured because they're quickly running that football. It's in between the tackles, and boy, Oakdale's done a great job in between those tackles. So 4th and 1, 8:20 to go here in quarter 3. Oakdale up 27-0, and they're looking for more. The ball just outside that 13-yard line. Dixon, straight up the gut. Looks like they got it. They didn't need a whole lot. Didn't get a whole lot.
I don't think they got it.
Oh, really? Let's see. I thought he had the forward progress, but apparently they might not be giving it to him. It is going to be close. Do we need a measurement? Yeah, they're going to measure it. I mean, it's close.
Wow. Well, that was a big stop by Anderson. Again, that's the key, is stop the run up the middle.
Yep.
And in many ways, Mark, this is the play of the game here. If the Knights could stop them, they give themselves a chance to get down the field and get their offense going. Psychologically, this would be a huge lift for the Knights if they could get this stop.
So here we go. Here's the measurement, and he's been stopped. Bishop comes up with the stop, and they'll have the ball 1st and 10 from their own 13-yard line. So maybe a glimmer of hope for Bishop. Sometimes it's baby steps, and maybe that's the step they need.
Well, Mark, I think this is the first time the Knights' defense has stopped the Oakdale offense, really since maybe the first or second series of the game. So that's a critical play. Let's see if they can parlay this into some big chunky yard plays now. They need some yards down the field.
Jackson under center. It's been a tough game for him. He's completed passes well and just hasn't had a lot of time. They go to the run, not a whole lot going, and that's been the problem. They just have not been able to establish the running game tonight. Just 17 rushes for 13 yards. I mean, that's obviously under a yard a carry and isn't going to get the job done.
Well, the hard part about that is it really keeps the safeties back. Look how far the safeties are playing back. So there's not a lot of room for the Knights to run anything deep.
Right.
If you run the ball effectively, the safeties have to come up into the box and changes the whole passing structure.
Well, I like to see him run some pick plays and try and get one of their receivers open. Nothing doing right there. That's going to be a loss of yardage play. So just not moving the ball the way that they need to. It's almost like Oakdale is really inside the minds of the Knights.
Well, Oakdale is really fundamentally sound. That was a good open field tackle. And without Mooney in the game, he's injured right now. If you see him, he's not playing. I'm not sure if he's out for the game. Without Mooney in the game, Jackson's been the primary target. And Jackson is an open field runner who just got tackled for no gain.
At a shotgun formation. Under a heavy rush is Jackson. Rolling right. Ames. Fires. Is that ball caught?
Jackson's pass intended for Ursi. Pass is incomplete.
Incomplete. They were looking for Ursi there. As he has to take over some responsibility at wide receiver with no Mooney. And no offense, but he's no Mooney.
You know, again, I think one of the critical things is there was a great rush up the middle, pushed Jackson out of the pocket, and he had to throw on really a narrow field, and that was really an impossible catch. So kudos to the defense for Oakdale.
Yep, so it's time to punt for the Bishops. It'll be Mooney to punt. So he's been in there to punt, but we haven't seen him doing anything else tonight. He kicks that one up, end over end, should be non-returnable, and the ball will go out of bounds at the 46-yard line. But once again, Oakdale with good field position and a short field. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's been the story of the game tonight.
You know, not only do they have a short field mark, but they've been able to really ball control this. They've had the advantage in time of possession. I don't know if we have those numbers, but they have dominated the game by maintaining possession of the ball and obviously playing on a short field. And if you look again, a lot of those players on defense for the Knights are some of the same players who were just on offense.
TOP, that time of possession is just so critical. Off right side, they give to Cherry. Cherry to the outside, cuts back, works his way to midfield. That's a 5-yard pickup, bringing up 2nd and 5. So once again, positive yardage by Cherry. He's close to hitting the century mark himself in rushing yards tonight.
Yeah, and that time the end got blocked in and they got to the edge.
Under center, they give to the up man. Not much doing there. That's just about a yard pickup, and give credit to Daniel Anderson on that stop. And hopefully we'll be saying his name a lot more in the second half, making those stops, as it'll bring up 3rd down and just under 4 yards to go.
Again, this is a situation that is probably 4-down territory for a very aggressive Oakdale team. So Knights have to really come up with a play here.
Yep. Back to pass is Dixon. Screen right, passes completed, 40, 35, 30, cutting back, 25, 20, and he gets collared down at the 18-yard line on the reception. It's Zach Thomas, but we have a penalty flag back on the Oakdale 49, and based on where that was thrown, this play's probably going to get wiped out.
Yeah, another great catch and run. I mean, that was a great run. That time the back just went right through the tackler and picked up another 20 yards.
Yep, face mask call, so that'll wipe out that long completion. But we have to continue to say that when they run that ball so effectively, anytime they choose to pass, those lanes are always open.
The Knights are committing a lot of players up front. And again, this team has run the ball probably 90% of the time and thrown just a few times. And it's been effective for big chunk yards. And the running backs run very hard. I think one thing we can't state enough is that Oakdale really runs the ball hard. These backs are hard to bring down. They're small, but they're tough, and they run with great pad.
Yep. Well, for Oakdale, they won the CIF title, defeating Christian Brothers 51-14. At one point, scored 44 points in a row. And they won their bowl game over Sutter by the count of 27-10. And that was after they had trailed 10-6 in the game, so they finished that game on a 21-0 run.
You know, Mark, this is a very big penalty for Oakdale. This is surprising. They're driven back all the way inside their 20, so this will be interesting to see if the Knights can put them in a position here to force a punt, 3rd and long.
Yep, 2nd and 36. And they go to the run. Cutting back, up at about the 30-yard line, brought down. And so it's still going to be long yardage to go. There's Simone on the run. And
Looks like it's 4th down, Mark. I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I was looking at the scoreboard. They had said 2nd down before.
Okay, so it's 4th.
Okay, now we're at 4th and 36. So I think we should see them punt here. But you never know, right?
This is the first time they punted since maybe the first quarter.
Zach
maybe
Thomas
the first series.
in punt formation, standing on his own 17. That's an ugly kick and will not be returned. And it takes a roll, and 1st and 10 at the ball at the 39-yard line. So an ugly kick, but non-returnable, and that's really been the motto for Oakdale, not really allowing the playmakers for Bishops to return the football.
You know, this, and you know, in a good way, this is a very good opportunity for the Knights to move. They're at the just under the 40-yard line, and they have a chance now to put some points on the board. Let's see what they can do. They need to get going here.
4:54 to go here in quarter number 3. Bishops with the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 38-yard line. They trail 27-0 and trying to get on the scoreboard via the run, which has not worked all evening long. And it'll be 2nd down, long to go after a 2-yard pickup.
Again, the Knights have to score a lot of points, but they're trying to bring the safeties up, and they're trying to establish some running game, but it's been difficult to do.
Out of shotgun formation is Jackson. Trying to find a receiver, rolling right, aims, fires, and he's able to complete it. They're calling it incomplete with the pass being caught out of bounds and the receiver down at the end of that play. Boy, it has been a tough night of injuries for the Bishops.
Yeah, that's.
I think is that Isaiah Dawson there?
I think it's number 6, Justin Woodley, and again, that's a hard one for him because he came in with an injury to his.
The way he's lying down, we cannot see the jersey number. Yep, it's Woodley. You're right. And he's been battling back quadricep injuries. Jackson, the pass, throws it up in the air. I think it's caught. It is 1st down. Maybe that's what the Bishops needs to get going. Jackson to Jackson.
Yeah, that was an amazing pass. It got through 2 defenders, and again, I think there's just great chemistry between the brothers. You can see that they trust each other. So that is a big play for the Knights.
Yeah, Passat Moses, who got injured in the first half on crutches, and needless to say, he won't be back in this one. Out of shotgun, Jackson calls his own number. Not a whole lot doing, but good second effort. I mean, he took a play that probably would have been no gain and picked up about 2. So it'll be 2nd and 8 at this point. Any positive yardage is a positive for the Knights.
You know, it's one of those things. I mean, the Knights are trying to establish a running game, even though it's been very difficult. But at this point, they've got to make plays, and they've got to get up top and try to get something to punch in.
That they do. And Moses Mooney right now in the game at wide receiver, set up wide right. They go to the run. And the freshman picks up yards, working his way down to the 36-yard line is Amon Banks.
Amon Banks is going to be a dynamic running back for the Knights. He's a freshman, and he is very quick into the hole and has really good vision. That was a great run for the Knights and makes a third and short.
Yep, 3rd and 3 for the freshman, 5'8", 160-pounder. He seems like the young man that if he gets into that second level, he could be gone. He's got that type of speed. Jackson aims, fires, pass incomplete.
Well, that was a situation. That was a great play, and it was wide open. It was dropped.
Yep.
But again, we're in 4-down territory. It's 4th and 3, and the Knights have to convert. This is a must convert, and that's a frustrating drop for the Knights. But they have another play here they have to make.
Well, I think down 27-0. I think no matter where on the field they are, it's all 4-down territory.
I think that's right, Mark.
2:50 to go. Three receivers left, one-man backfield. Over the middle, and it's picked off! Interception by Oakdale. 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Oakdale. With the pick is Josh Jacobson. We've called his name all night long on tackles. This time it's an interception return of 65 yards. And with 2:35 to go here in quarter number 3, it's 33-0 Oakdale.
Well, that was a tough play. You know, the defensive end got his hands up, made the deflection, and then Jacobson did the rest. That's a really tough play for the Knights. If they convert that, they have a chance to push it into scoring area. Now, that's a difficult pick six to give up at this juncture.
Yep. When you're down by that much, you try squeezing the ball maybe sometimes where you wouldn't before, and that one gets picked. Hannity's extra point is up, and it is good. 34-0 is your score with 2:35 to go here in quarter number 3. So it's been a little bit of everything. We've seen a whole bunch of running, a little bit of passing by Oakdale, and this time the defense with the pick six.
You know, Oakdale's defense is more sound than I thought. You know, when I watched film on them, I didn't see the physical qualities. I didn't see how well they ran to the ball. Their safeties are playing 15 to 20 yards deep, so it's been hard for the Knights to get anything over the top. It's been hard for the Knights to contain their three-man rush. They've got great size and put pressure. That time was a deflection at the defensive line, and it's been hard for the Knights even to catch the ball on the flat and to run. Oakdale deserves a lot of credit. Their defense has been outstanding tonight.
Well, I will say when you take a look at this Knights team, a lot of kids are coming back next year. Mooney will be back. Dawson will be back. Moses will be back. Your quarterback, Jackson, his brother receiver, will be back. Charette will be back. Whitmire will be back. So you have a lot of kids who are going to be back. Kramer and Eldridge on the offensive line. So you have a lot of returning players. So there's no reason to think maybe this team could be back here again next year. You never know. The ball taken at the 15-yard line. Cutting back, Jackson, 20, 25, still on his feet, 30 across to the 34-yard line. And that's where they'll operate 1st and 10. So once again, another opportunity for the Bishop Knights. Let's see if they can get something going.
You know, the one thing that Coach Allen and his staff do is they do a great job of preparing these guys. And the one thing you're not going to see is you're not going to see this team quit. So let's see what they can do. But this is a really important down here. Let's see if the Knights can start getting some offensive mojo going.
Mojo and lots of it. Speaking of local football, how about the performance today by San Diego State defeating Houston 27-10 in the Las Vegas Bowl? And I don't know, part of me think the players dropped an egg after Tom Herman left. But San Diego State played a great game, and congratulations to Pumphrey, their star running back, all-time leading rusher in NCAA football history. However, interesting side note that I heard on sports radio today is that up until 2002, they never counted the rushing yards or offensive yards of players who played in the bowl games, because back in those days, there weren't that many bowl games, and they felt it was unfair to tack on a yardage of offensive players. I wonder what those numbers would look like if those numbers were included, and would Pumphrey still be number one if those numbers were all there?
That's a great question. I mean, the one argument I would make is most of the players on that list came from great programs. So when you're talking about Ron Dane at Wisconsin, he went to multiple bowl games, including probably Rose Bowls. And if you're talking about Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson, you're talking about some of these, Tony Dorsett, you're talking about teams that have won and have played in bowl games. But it's a good question. What would those numbers look like? But just to be in that conversation, for San Diego State to beat Houston, who beat 2 top 5 teams at one point this year.
In Oklahoma and Louisville.
And for San Diego State to have the all-time leading NCAA rusher, that's huge for recruiting. And for Rocky Long to put another 11-win season with a Mountain West title, that's just one of the biggest program wins.
Yep, and also they had another good runner one time by the name of Marshall Falk.
That's right.
And that run is for negative yardage. And I'll tell you what, as well as Oakdale has played, the 12th man has been the fans, who have traveled 9 and 10-hour drives to be here today. And when I look at the crowd, I think there's maybe just as many fans from Oakdale as there is from Bishops.
I think one of the things you know about a good football program is support, and you can see that if they travel 9 or 10 hours and they come like this is a program that has won consistently and has put together great teams.
Jackson with the catch. You see, as soon as he catches the ball, he's surrounded by 3 and 4 defenders. So as much speed as he has, it's very tough to find himself a way to get open. He picks up about 4 yards, the ball at the 34-yard line. 3rd down and 15 yards to go. Actually, 3rd and 10, excuse me.
Really, Mark, since the first series, there have been no big plays. The Knights have had no big plays. Everything has been catch and tackle. There have been very few yards after the catch. Oakdale's defense has really been consistent and very, very solid in their tackling.
Like I'd say, I like to see an isolation at one end or the other. Look for someone one-on-one, but even when Jackson tries, he's running for his life. 40, head to the 45 to the 46. That's good for first down yardage. And while I definitely give credit to Jeffrey Jackson for picking up that first down, part of it, he was kind of running for his life there.
You know, he's escaping. There's great pressure on the outside, and he stepped up and made a play. That was not a designed run. But you got to give the kid credit. He is down 35-0, and he is really fighting. 34-0, excuse me, and he's really fighting to make plays for the Knights. That's a big first down.
Yep, show a lot of character here. Show no quitting you. Charette off the left side, still on his feet. I'll tell you what, once again, 3 and 4 defenders. He was lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Looked like he was going to pick something up, but then it seems like you get past one guy, and then there's another guy waiting for you, and then another. And it just makes it impossible to get any kind of running game going.
Yeah, this is a very disciplined defense, and those two safeties, are about 15 yards back, and they're flying up to the ball. And it's hard to get outside. They've really done a good job of kind of creating a shell and keeping everything in front. Knights have not made any plays on the edge, and that's something that Knights are used to doing.
You know what we haven't seen I like to see on the offense? Try some slant patterns. Try and get somebody over the middle, because they are giving them the yardage playing deep back, and see if you can pick something up like a 5-10 yard slant, and maybe then get an open where maybe you could get some one-on-one coverage. And that will actually do it for the third quarter of play at the end of 3 quarters from La Jolla High School in San Diego, California. It's Oakdale 34 and Bishop nothing. 4th quarter action coming up in a moment. We have one more quarter to play here, beginning of the 4th quarter. Mark Heller, Kamal Asaf, as well as the Bendricks and then some. Thanks so much for joining us. A reminder that this game is brought to you by TVX Video. Go to tvxvideo.com. Call my man Ted Bendrick if you want to see local sports in your high school. Find your way to be video streaming live on the internet, 619-850-9034. Jackson rolling right. He's going to try and set up a screen. Good block. 40, 45, midfield. Works his way down to the 48-yard line.
Fumble on the ground.
Oh, and a fumble on the play, and it's recovered by Oakdale. Oh, my. They can do no wrong tonight. Recovering it is Ty Fuentes, their senior cornerback. And the thing that impressed me was the block that was thrown by the offensive lineman earlier in that play, which I thought was going to spring him loose. But then eventually we saw the fumble and the recovery, and it's just been that kind of night for Bishops. Edward Kramer threw a beautiful block to open up the Bishop receiver, but then just across midfield, the fumble occurred. Off left side to Simone. Simone on his heels, works his way across midfield, down to the 49. That's a pickup of 3, bringing up 2nd down and 7 yards to go. 11:35 to go here in quarter 4.
Yeah. This is a difficult one for the Knights because they set up a play, and in many ways they had enough yards for a first down, and then to fumble it. That's one thing you can't afford to do when you're trying to come back, is you can't put the ball on the ground.
Tough pill to swallow. Straight up the gut. 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. Simone, 15, 10, all the way down to the 8-yard line. First and goal. Oh, excuse me, that was Cherry on the carry for a pickup of 41.
Yeah, that time the running back went right through the hole and didn't get touched till about 17, 20 yards down the field. I mean, again, that's the offensive line. This offensive line looks like, they are very efficient. They are very efficient. They don't look very big, but, boy, they're blowing holes up. And it doesn't matter who's running the ball. That time, number 43 took the ball, and that was a run where he didn't get touched for about 15 or 20 yards.
Oh, my.
When you have corners and safeties making tackles, it makes it very difficult on the defense. That was Jackson, who just went out with an injury. See if he's okay.
Two-man backfield. They give straight up the gut. Not much doing there. And on the carry for Oakdale, Wes Leitchen. Was that Leitchen on the previous carry?
Yeah, it was number 43.
Who had that big run?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Leitchen, they went back to him, but nothing picked up there. We hadn't seen him carry the ball all game long.
No, I think it doesn't matter who's back there right now with that offensive line,
Yep.
Looks like the Dallas Cowboys line.
Second and goal. They give to Simone. Tries to get across the edge. He's in. Touchdown. 7-yard touchdown run, and with 10:28 to go, it is 40-0, and I think it's safe to say that this game has come to a conclusion on who will be winning. And for Simone, that's his 5th touchdown run of the night.
Right here in the tan jacket. I'm the one that said it.
Yeah, it's Mark. This is a challenge. This is a challenge. This is a fantastically coached team, and they're really putting it on the Knights.
Yep. Extra point on the way. It is up, and it is good. 41-0 is your score, as Colin Harrity yet another extra point. So he has made all the extra points except for one today. 41-0 your score. All you can say is this one is a learning experience. You hope that you learn from it, you gain from it, and you become a better team for it.
Football is a game of matchups, and it's one of those situations where a lot of times if you can't stop the thing that they do, you're not going to win. And the Knights knew coming in, this is a running team. Last week, team ran for over 300 yards, and they're doing the same thing. I mean, this might be a 400-yard night. And in one of those situations, you've got to be able to stop what they do well. A couple weeks ago, the Knights played Valley Center and shut down the run and made them a passing team and won the game handily. In this situation, the Knights have not had any answer for really the offensive line, because it's been multiple backs that have beaten the Knights. It's been the offensive line and their line play. It's very impressive. They deserve a lot of credit.
Like we said, Jacob Teitchen, Nico Cerali, Brandon Vereri, Connor Reed, and Jorge Barajas. They have been the stars tonight. And what about Trent Merzan? He's won those CIF titles. He's won 3 of them. However, he has never won state, and he's finally going to add on to the resume that of a state championship coach.
Well, you know what I really respect about Coach Merzan is he's from the community, and he's from the school, and he has really built a powerhouse of a program, and you can tell by how they travel. This is a program that is beloved in their community, and they work at it. These are not big kids, but they're physical kids, they're tough kids, and obviously they're committed because they are dominating a very talented Bishop's Knights team.
Well, check out this stat. In his 17 years as head coach, double-digit victories in 11 of those years. That's consistency. Going to the run and nothing doing. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Oakdale is up big, and they could kind of say, hey, we'll let Bishops pick up some yards here and there, but they're like, no. We would really love to win this state title via the shutout.
This is a team that one of the things we talked about, Mark, at halftime was how would each team respond, and you got to give Oakdale credit. They are not backing down. They are a team that's going to finish this game, it looks like.
And it was Bishops during the year that had 5 shutouts on the year. Passes completed, but nothing doing. So no matter what they try, nothing seems to be working, even the Jackson to Jackson connection.
You know, and again, Mark, the ability to tackle in the open field. We see it so often at the pro and college level. When teams can tackle in the open field, they really have a great defense.
Well, it's been a dominating performance on both sides of the field for the school from Oakdale, California, up in Northern California. We've spoken of the long drive, how the fans have shown up in droves, and the team has performed and come ready to play. Jackson aims, fires, it's incomplete. And if you'll notice, for the one receiver he was looking for, there were 3 defenders around the ball.
You know, they're doing a great job of crowding the best receiver the Knights have right now on the field, Jackson. So, you know, that's become the focal point, is don't let him beat you.
And the one thing we should mention, because of the score in the game, it is a rolling clock here in the fourth quarter, something that you're not going to see happen very often in a state title game, but that just shows the dominance of Oakdale here tonight. So 4th down and 16 yards to go, and that means punt formation once again for Moses Mooney. Why not go for a fake punt right here? You got nothing to lose. But he'll punt it away. Will not be returned. They don't even have anyone back. And the ball goes at the 45-yard line, where Oakdale will open up 1st and 10. So the clock continues to run even at the end of a play. So obviously this will be a very quick fourth quarter of play.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking way to end the season. I mean, one of the challenges of being a high school athlete is you don't sign up to play 15 games. And so when you have a CIF championship and you win that and you move into state playoffs, it becomes difficult. When you have a roster of 19 men, not making excuses for the Knights, it becomes difficult to keep people healthy. And the Knights have lost several starters tonight and several starters over the last couple of weeks. So it's been a battle of attrition. And it's challenging. It's challenging. The CIF has put this together. But state games are challenging for small school football teams.
Timeout is called on the field. Stopping play with 7:13 to go. And we should mention, entering this game in the 4 playoff games, Bishops had outscored their opponents 40.25 to 12. That was a winning margin of 28.5, and it outscored their 4 playoff opponents 161 to 48.
That's impressive. You know, but it's very obvious this is the best opponent they've ever faced this year. This is a very talented, very disciplined, hard-nosed football team. And so Oakdale deserves a lot of credit. I know the Knights have not seen a team of this stature this year.
They'll come right back up to the line of scrimmage. Dixon still in the quarterback. They give off right side. Simone, 45, 40, 35, 30. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Oakdale. 55-yard touchdown run by Simone, his 6th rushing touchdown of the game. Oh, my.
Well, that's just another great design. Guards are pulling. The running back just ran through a gaping wide hole, and really nobody touched him. And, again, that speaks great things to Oakdale's line and their ability to push him through. This is a very efficient running system. You know, sometimes you have teams that really find the right offensive system, and the wing tee has been a great system for this Oakdale team. You can see what they've done with it.
The extra point is up on the way, and it is no good. So 47-0 is your score with 6:57 remaining. So I'll tell you what, Trent Merzon can do nothing wrong tonight. He calls a timeout, talks with his ball club. Next thing you know, they're galloping 55 yards for a touchdown. And, I mean, Simone wasn't even touched on that play.
No, it's a great play design. I think you've got a lot of fresh players on that offense. And you've got a Bishops team, again. A lot of those kids are playing on offense, on defense, and on special teams. Look at Anderson walk off the field. Look at some of these guys that are playing receiver, on kick return. This is one of the challenges of having 17 or 18 healthy bodies. You're asking those kids to play against a very disciplined, mentally tough, physically tough team with superior numbers and who are very well coached. And the Knights have broken down on numerous occasions tonight.
So for Simone on those 6 touchdown runs, It's been for 113 yards, taken by the up man at the 30 to the 33, where Bishops will start first and 10 on that rolling clock. 6:50 to go and continues to go off. At this point, if you're Bishops, you're just looking for a moral victory and find a way to put a touchdown on the board.
Yeah, if you're Bishops, you play to the whistle, and you're trying to execute the same things you'd start at the game. This is a very proud program. This is a program that I played in the 1980s when it was 8-man. It's an 11-man program. We put players into college, Division I. We put a player into the NFL. This is a program where there are a lot of alums that are listening on the internet to us and that are watching this game tonight.
Hey, Kamal, back in your day, what position did you play?
I was a 6'2", 175-pound pass rushing fiend. I was like Joey Bosa, but I was built like Joey Bosa, Jared Allen, Howie Long, but I was built like a kicker. Yeah, I didn't understand how much I needed to eat and lift, but I was a pass rusher and I was quick. I was a basketball player who could get to the quarterback, but it was 8-man football. It did not resemble this sport.
I know it's a whole different game. And also it's a shorter field. There's no midfield. There's 45 and 45. I do recall that, calling a game out in Palm Springs back in 2006. So that pass incomplete to Jackson brings up 2nd and 10. Jackson aims, fires, hits his brother with the ball. Not a whole lot doing. The catch made at the 38-yard line. A pickup of 5. It'll bring up 3rd and 5 as we are at the 5:20 mark remaining in this contest.
This is again. This is right now the best what Bishops can do. It's a completed pass for 7 yards. It sets up a shorter 3rd down play, but this is a very sound team. And again, they're getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback with a 3-man rush. Look at all the bodies in the backfield. You've got 8 people, so they're really creating a shield and saying, okay, we're going to put pressure with 3 guys, and let's see what you can do.
3rd and 5, they're going to the run. 40, 43, still on the feet. 45, midfield, 48-yard line. That's a first down, and that's probably the best run that we've seen all evening long from Bishops.
That is an outstanding run, and that was a run in which he was dropped, really, and he continued to move his feet. That's the
freshman Banks.
It looks like he might be injured.
And how many times have we seen that tonight at the end of a play where we've seen an injured night? It's been a tough evening all around.
It really has been a tough evening. But Banks made a dynamic run, and the future is very bright on him. He's a freshman playing in a state championship title game. That means good things for the Knights.
Jackson has time, can't find a receiver rolling right. I think he's going to run, and he will. 45, 40, out of bounds at the 37-yard line. And I believe he was able to pick up the first down or get awfully close to it. Based on where they're marking it, I think he might be just shy. I think it might be about a yard to go. But that was a good job by Jackson. Couldn't find a receiver, saw the open lane, said, hey, I'm going to get some positive yardage out of this play, and was able to do just that. So it'll be 2nd and 1. They haven't had many 2nd and 1s tonight, so let's see what the play call is here. Back to pass, under a rush. Jackson running to his left. Aims, fires, and is the ball caught? It is. First down. Nice catch by Jackson. Yeah, it seems like every time the guys are catching the ball, they're really landing hard when they come down. Jackson's slow to get up at the end of that reception.
Yeah, that was an outstanding play. He ran to the sideline. He threw across his body, 25, 30 yards down the field. I think one of the challenges, Mark, is that a lot of these guys are playing both ways. The receivers are playing corners, the offensive linemen are playing defensive linemen, and when you're playing a physical, disciplined team, that wears on you. And when you're down this many points, there's a psychological component to that too.
That was a 22-yard connection between the Jackson brothers. Jackson rolling right, running, trying to find somebody. Aims, fires. But is that picked off?
No.
In the end zone? Incomplete.
Yeah, this is a classic example of when you can put 3 guys and put pressure on a quarterback, flush him out of the pocket, make him throw on the run. Those were 2 very difficult throws that college quarterbacks and pro quarterbacks have. The first one he completed against his body, thrown against the grain. This one was a hard throw. There's nowhere to throw. He's dropping 8 guys, and he's really trying to fit it in there. And that time, he almost got intercepted.
2nd and 10 with the ball on the 16. Erdasi and Dawson are set up to the right. Jackson and company to the left. Looking end zone. Incomplete. And a flag at the end of the play, which makes you think pass interference.
That's incomplete.
We'll have to wait for the call. Yep, it's going to be pass interference. That'll be automatic first down. So Bishop's getting a little bit of a break right there. 1:35 to go. Maybe they could get on the scoreboard before this one's over.
You know, as a coach, as a former coach, you want your players to play to the whistle. And I'm sure Joel Allen, would love to have had a different result, but I'm sure he's proud of his players' effort and the way they've handled the discouragement that comes with losing a game like this.
Ball at the 8-yard line. It's going to be second down, so not an automatic first down. 2nd and 2. Clock continues to tick. Jackson rolling to his left, and he'll run out of bounds.
Yeah, there's really nothing there. He's running to the short side of the field, and they're dropping so many players that there's absolutely nowhere for him to throw. He can try to fit it in, but right now the Knights have got to maybe think about punching it in with the run or doing something to move the pocket.
Well, remember that clock's continuing to tick because it doesn't stop because of the score, and we're down to now 35 seconds left in this football game. Let's see what Jackson can do. Ames fires, and the ball is dropped. And that is a pass that should have been caught. Just lack of concentration there by Isaiah Dawson. And the clock continues to tick, and that maybe we'll get one more play in the game, or maybe that's going to be it down to the last 11 seconds.
Yeah, I think the Knights want to score here, so let's see if they can punch it in here. This might be the last play of the game.
Oh, it will be.
Can't enter defensive penalty.
I think we have a timeout called. I'm not sure. What do we have? Oh, we have maybe too much time. That's going to do it. The visitors from Oakdale. They are the Division 3A state champions. It was a dominating performance from beginning to end. Oakdale 47 and Bishop nothing.
Yeah, that's as dominant performance as I've seen in a long time. You've got to give a credit to Oakdale. They've done a great job of building a wonderful program. Look at the line here of the sea of Oakdale players. Now, some of those guys might be JV players. That speaks volumes to the fact that this program has been built on bodies. They have had a tremendous commitment, and they have built a great program. And if you look at the size of the players, they don't have a lot of big kids. They have a lot of tough kids who really played great football tonight, and they deserve a lot of credit. They have clearly beaten the Knights in every phase of the game.
Well, the scoring in quarter number 1, Simone, an 8-yard touchdown run, 6-0 at the end of 1 as the extra point was missed. Early in the second quarter with 11:26 to go, Simone on an 18-yard touchdown run. Extra point good, made it 13-0. That would be the second of his 6 touchdown scores. Continuing in the second quarter with 8:10 to go, Simone from 3 yards out made it 20-0. And then late in the second quarter, he scores from 22 yards, 27-0 your score as we went into the locker room. Then in quarter number 3, it was Josh Jacobson picking off a pass, taking it to the house 65 yards to make it 34-0. And in the fourth quarter, Simone with 2 more touchdown runs from 7 and 55 yards out, finished out the scoring and the 47-0 final.
Yeah, I mean it was a dominating performance from the beginning. And if the Knights had a shot, they needed to put some points on the board early and just couldn't do it. And again, it's 2 different styles. It's the spread offense and the Knights against a very, very strong power running wing T offense. And you've got to give this team credit. Oakdale traveled 10 hours. They brought a whole bunch of fans. I've never seen that many visiting fans up there, and they outplayed the Knights in every phase of the game. So they clearly deserve it this year. But I want to say something. The Knights had a great season. The one thing about these playoffs is you can't discount the fact the Knights really were outstanding all year, won the CIF championship, and really put together a great season. So I hope that we don't lose sight of the fact that Knights were great champions in their own right.
With the victory, Oakdale 14-2. With the loss, Bishop 14-1. And that 15-0 undefeated eluded season finds a way to dissipate into the Southern California night.
You know, they would have loved to win this, I think, but I think one of the things you have to say is they had a great season. And for a team that has 23 players on it, for a team to do so well and to fight the way they did, they had a terrific season. And I know these guys are going to hurt, but they are wonderful people. This campus is a better place for these kids on this campus, this football team.
Yep, and there's Oakdale. They are lifting the championship trophy. They are the 3A state title champs for the state of California for the year 2016. And what a job that has been done by the staff of Trent Merzon. So close yet so far for so many years. But finally now he can say, my team up in Northern California, we are state champions.
You know, Trent Merzon has done a fantastic job, and this is not a surprise. This is a program that will be back at the CIF level and maybe at the state level. This is a program that was built to last, and I will say the same thing about the Knights. The Knights have a lot of returning players, and they have built a fantastic program under Joel Allen. They're one of the dominant small school programs in Southern California, and they will continue to be dominant.
Well, we'd like to thank the entire crew here at TVX Video, our head honcho, the director, Mr. Ted Bendrick, and more importantly, the director's boss, Hortensia Bendrick, his lovely wife. And, of course, I'm Mark Heller, and then my lovely wife, Mary Heller, who let me come down here to broadcast the game today. My broadcast partner, Kamal Asaf, he did a great job tonight. Our live editor was Andrew Leadham. On camera, we had George Longavin and Teddy Bendrick, along with Ted Bendrick. And Luis Rivera did an outstanding job as our technical director here tonight. Your final score once again, it's Oakdale 47 and Bishop nothing. You've been watching exclusive action of the State 3A High School Football Championship game on TVX Video. For more information on how your school can be on TVX Video, you can call Ted Bendrick at 619-850-9034 or email him at ted@tvxvideo.com. Well, that's going to wrap it up from La Jolla High School in San Diego, California. For the whole crew and Kamal Asaf, I'm Mark Keller saying so long and good night from La Jolla, California.